Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Pure Digital Passion Podcast with me, Moses Kemibaro. Today, my guests are joining us from Actnable AI. We're going to have a conversation around how research is being transformed using artificial intelligence and changing how it operates across Africa. We have as our guest Dharmendra Jain, the founder and CEO of Actnable AI, and also Josiah Kimanzi, a partner also at Actnable AI. Between them, they have over 30 years of leading research operations across India, Nigeria, Kenya, and beyond for global clients in telecoms, media, FMCG, and financial services. From the Nairobi headquarters, Actnable AI delivers Neuro AI for creative testing, Qual AI for qualitative automation and real-time calling agents, as well as chat with data solutions, serving clients across Kenya, India, USA, and South Africa. Their recent work revealed how identical telecom campaigns trigger radically different emotional responses across African cities, proving AI's power to surface cultural truths that traditional methods may miss. We'll unpack their research journeys, why they started Actnable and are working there, and also the market gaps they're hoping to close, providing concrete business impact that they're delivering, and where they're taking AI research next. So Dharmendra and Josiah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Yeah.
So I'll start to talk about the topic because I believe the two of you have some history. And I'd just like to get into your origin story, starting with you, Dharmendra. Your path spans Kantar operations to TNS Nigeria. Josiah, you led audience measurement for Stedman Group through Kantar Nigeria's 20-country hub. What were the early career projects that made you sort of commit to research for life? And maybe we can start off with you, Dharmendra.
Thank you very much, Moses. So the early career project which really made me think that research is the one which I want to go for was way back in around 2001 in India. And that time I was not sure whether I'll continue with research because I was coming from more from a tech side and more like a data side. But then the one project called Indian Readership Survey. And that was one of the most, I would say, scale-wise, the largest survey that time. And I got the opportunity to do the data processing over there. And I said, and that 1 year, this project went for almost 1 year. And you can say that I spent day and night in the office. It was so engrossing and so huge, around 240,000 people we are contacting across India. So that was huge. It was demanding and the scale-wise. So that gave me so much really sort of great opportunities to interact with researchers, understand the data integrity and all that. And I thought it's really fun to deal with data. And that's how I started.
You fell in love.
Yeah, fell in love with research. And I said, that's the career I want to continue with.
Fantastic. Yeah. What about you, Josiah?
You know, it might interest you to know that I'm actually an anthropologist by training. So the way I bumped into research is my then partner was working for MCL Saatchi & Saatchi. And she sort of discovered an opportunity at Research International with Melissa Baker. And so what the deal was is they said, well, come and work for a month. And then when you're done for that month, you'll gain the experience and we'll say goodbye. So a month turned into a second month and a third month until one gentleman, he's late now, Ngumo Angoro, said, I thought you're supposed to be here for a month. So, and in hindsight, then they paid me for the 2 months and I got engaged by Research International.
Wow.
That's where I began my journey. We did a lot of work, with Roger Stedman and Melissa in terms of media as well. I think we started the first ever diaries, paper diaries now. I think now they're using day after recall. So then from there at Research International, I decided to venture into advertising a bit. I went to DDBC's CCL. I handled a couple of global brands like BB and Insco. Then I went to O&M. I had the pleasure of working with BAT, Nation Media Group, and many other clients. Then I just felt, this is not my thing. So I went back to research. Back at Stedman, managed and developed the audience measurement across 5 markets, which would be Mozambique, Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Malawi. Malawi was very interesting because they only had one TV station. So
it was easier.
It was very easy to do the research. Everyone is on Malawi Broadcasting Corporation. And then Nigeria came calling. So when Nigeria came calling through a very good friend of mine, he's called Alips. And he told me about this opportunity. When I told it to my dad was like, "You're not going to Nigeria." I told him, "Hey, Dad, it's a global village, and that's what it really is right now. Everything is so interconnected."
Correct.
From here to, and my experiences drove me to as far as Singapore, for conferences, to London as well. So that was with RMS, which was later bought out by TNS, which is Taylor Nelson Sofres. Then they were bought out by Kantar. So my meeting with Dharmendra would be, you'd possibly use a football analogy. So Dharmendra was your Iniesta in the Barcelona context, and I was Messi. So
the tag team.
He would do exceptional work with data processing. I was servicing the clients, and I like calling Nigeria beautiful chaos. It's chaos, yes, but it's beautiful, and it makes you not just think about out of the box. It makes you literally carry the whole box and take it elsewhere. So here we are. He went to Nigeria before me in 2006.
Okay.
I joined in 2008.
Okay.
I can remember his first office. It was somewhere downstairs in a corner. And then he went upstairs. It was all in one building.
I think we were all staying in the same building,
Yes, same estate.
So
the expatriates used to stay in one estate.
And very interestingly, first time when we met and we kind of invited you for coffee, he came over and he said chapati, and I was very...
You were surprised?
I surprised because I was not knowing that time outside India anybody would understand.
You didn't realize chapati is a big thing.
I was very happy, and that's how we met, right? And
what are your perspectives of Nigeria and the time when you were there? I'd be keen to understand that.
Nigeria, I think, came out of the blue because one of my former colleagues joined over there, and he called me one day that, I'm looking for someone who can manage data processing. And I know you are the guru in DP. He said that way. And I know you won't come it. I said, no, I can come because in Mumbai, that time I was doing a job which required me to work in night shift. That was a market research outsourcing for USA clients. So my shift used to start in the evening. So almost 3 years I was doing night shift. I was tired of my family and all that. So I was looking for a fresh sort of break.
A transition.
And then he called and said, no, I can consider coming to Nigeria. I said, really? Are you sure? I said, yes. And then he was kind enough to invited me there. Then I went there to just check it out. The first impression was, I'm not sure.
It kind of scared you a bit,
let me go back and discuss with my family. And then kind of, it's really also looks like it's challenging, but also adventurous. Let me commit for 1 year. And that's how I started over there. Then 1 year become 2 years, 2 years become 3 years, and 3 years become almost like 10 years. And Nigeria is one thing which I loved about Nigeria. The energy is infectious over there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Once you get there, until you get there, you will always look at Nigeria as a media perspective. And you know how media portray everywhere. The image is different. But once you get there, you meet with people that's so warm over there. They greet you so well. They take care of you. And I almost even though at office we have huge number of sort of challenges over there in terms of the department level and overall level. But I think it was still very much enjoyable the way people were interacting with each other. Yeah. And I think that affection and I would say energy kept me going over there.
Sorry to interject, but I actually remember when I was being recruited, we had a 2-hour interview on the phone with 3 very good gentlemen. One was the founder of the business. He was called, he's still around. He's called Karim Tajumola. He visualized Nigeria very differently. So he brought in a lot of expatriates. The other person on the call was his son, who is now the regional CEO for Kantar in Middle East and Africa.
Wow.
His name is Diola Dejumola. He's called DT. But the third man was a Zimbabwean, a very good man called Agri. May he rest in peace. But
he was Agri.
Agri was the reason
I met Agri.
Yes. He was in Uganda. He was in Uganda.
I met him at Pamro in 2012 with you. Yes, he passed away. Yeah?
And Agri was amazing. I mean, if somebody could borrow his DNA, just in terms of how he related to people, how he was. We had a lot of storms.
Was it Agri Maposa?
Yes,
absolutely. I remember.
Yeah, we had a lot of storms.
I remember his name immediately.
Yeah, he's one person. He will naturally connect with you, and he will bring the best out of you. Yeah. As a matter of fact, when I just to continue, the 1 year is over, and I walked up to Agri. Agri is to my boss and said, "You know what? I came here for 1 year. 1 year is almost there, so I should let you know that I must go." Or no, he said, "Dharmendra, you're not going anywhere. Let's talk." Yeah. And that is one person. I think fantastic researcher, wonderful human being, and we all owe a lot in terms of our journey in Nigeria. I think
fantastic.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the success of the business there. And I mean, we had people from all over. I mean, we had Zimbabweans, we had Koreans, we had Cameroonians, we had Senegalese, all British. All Susanna. We also had Germans. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was like a whole cauldron of intelligence. And the other thing was, and Dharmendra was speaking to this, is I, having stayed there for a long time, I'm now referred to as a Kenyan Nigerian. They've given me a number of names. One is Kayode, which means God is full of joy. The other one is Ajiroba, which means the king's right-hand man. And many more. And this was because Lagos is primarily a Yoruba country. And I don't know whether you remember this.
He was also very good, to get mingled with people, and he developed a very good relationship. He picked up Yoruba and a little bit of Pidgin English as well, isn't it?
And Igbo. But I remember the way we were indoctrinated in Nigeria. So we show up, then we are taken to Lagos Business School for training. And you have to cross something called the Third Mainland Bridge. So it's a 3-hour transit to Lagos Business School, and then 3 hours back for 3 days. So ideally, you stop complaining.
At some point.
And that was, I mean, I still remember that professor at Lagos Business School. She was called Ochora Udoji. Amazing. I mean, Nigeria has amazing people.
Yeah.
People, I know. They're so well.
There's a time when I think it was 2012 when I was working at that point within Mobi, which is from India.
Mobi, yes.
I was in charge of Africa sales.
Okay.
And I would spend every month about 2 weeks in Nigeria. And I remember I used to almost feel depressed coming back to Kenya because you remember when you're selling media in a place like Nigeria, the numbers you become accustomed to, budget-wise and the conversations you have,
absolutely
make Kenya pale in comparison.
Yes.
You talk to a big telco in Kenya and they'll give you a budget and you're like, only? You go to Nigeria because of the size of the market and the attitude around media, and you just become addicted to the kind of business you're doing in Nigeria. In fact, we were so successful in Nigeria that our revenues ended up being more than what we were making in South Africa.
Wow.
We overtook what we called the Africa revenue sort of pie. Nigeria made South Africa look smaller, which was surprising for the kind of business we were doing.
And just to put things into context, so Nairobi has 5 million people as a city. Nigeria has 23 million.
The attitude is just different.
Lagos, you mean?
People think in big numbers. And big numbers across everything. So I can imagine when you guys talk about almost the addictive nature, the energy.
I think also to connect back to consumer research. That is another area why research is so thriving over there, because sheer consumer base of 200 plus 20
and the size of the economy.
So their understanding consumer brand and all global brands and the local brands are really getting into is a huge marketplace for them. And then it is very important for them to understand the research side of it. So that's research itself is a very sort of interesting over there.
And again, it all overlays, isn't it? If media is this way, if the consumer side, the market is this way, therefore it drives all these other secondary industries and services,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious because obviously you're working in an organization where there's a diverse range of people. You've talked about different cultures, different markets. But somehow you two were drawn to each other.
Yeah.
And now in Kenya, you're doing this with Actnable. And I just like to understand, what are the dynamics behind that? What is it that pulled the two of you together to do this business on the ground now in Kenya and, of course, across the continent?
Allow me to go first.
Please.
So we were in Dharmendra's office.
Yes.
And we had a crisis. And, Dharmendra told me something that was very key. He said thinking is not an option.
Oh.
And it still sticks today. Thinking is still not an option. You have to think. We have to find solutions. And I remember going to one client. We had all these global toolkits and stuff. But we used to have a lot, we would leap and the net would show up. So we went to this client. The client said, well, can you do this? We hadn't done it before, but we said yes. We agreed.
Say yes and figure it out later.
Yeah, and then we came to figure out. And then that's where the thinking is not an option came by. And of course, we faced a lot of challenges. Some of them is infrastructural, the epileptic power supply and other things. But then the energy, the resilience. And I think one of the things about working, if you can hack it in Nigeria, you can hack it anywhere in the world. Not necessarily, because the challenges are many, but you always think about how to figure them out. Dharmendra?
Exactly. So, in research, typically there is a research client-facing guys who talks with client. Josiah is one of them, right? Who goes and talk and promise, this can be done. And then nicely they make the promise.
And they bring back
they come back to the office and then see,
this is what I've sold.
The operations guy. Okay, this is what I said. I said, no, this is not what we do. Yeah. Or we can do it. Yeah. But he said already discussed and they are saying that other competitors are offering this. You must do this thing. So we used to also get a lot of debate, conversations, and sometimes argument, because it is not always easy to turn out technically and process-wise. So I'm the guy who will say, this is how it works. This is how it doesn't work. We need to get this one, that one. So we spend a lot of time debating that. I think one thing which resonated among us, being as a CS person, client service person, Josiah used to involve a lot into process also.
It's collaborative.
Yeah, it's very collaborative. It's bring a lot of new ideas. Can we do this? Can we do that? And that also naturally brings a lot of appreciation for operations. And that's where I think the collaboration forms.
So he was one of those guys who sells and then he walks away. He's involved in the delivery of service end to end.
Yeah. So he gets excited, and he was also very good at motivating people. He will stay late and he will do everything to make people really felt really great about it and say, let's do this. So a lot of energy brings positivity and also motivation that has helped our collaboration to even come up with one of the projects, which was the very first online project we did over there in Nigeria.
And it was for, I think then it was Diamond Bank. Now it's Access Bank, which is actually the biggest bank in Nigeria. And actually, when you start talking about, there's a study I did for KCB when I was at Stedman Group. We went to the 130 branches. I thought those were many. Only to get to Nigeria and get a bank with 400 branches. And you're just thinking, okay. So in terms of scale, but also, and to a point that Dharmendra mentioned, there are amazing people in Nigeria. Amazing in the sense that if they get the psyche right, they will deliver. I remember we did a very complex project for multi-choice, return path data. He was in charge of setting up the Kati Center. So mine was to go and convince the client that we can do this. And we had a panel of 5,000 households across Nigeria.
That so we go telephonic to interview.
Abuja and Port Harcourt. I think it was the biggest.
A full national thing. Huh?
Yes. And then UEFA came calling. We did a study for them across 32 markets, monitoring football from as far as Senegal to Kenya, 32 African markets. And he was in charge of making sure all the infrastructure, I knew nothing about servers then, but at least now I have an idea. I mean, you just hang around them, and these are the intelligent guys. Us, we're just the flashy guys who go and, collect the money from the clients.
But one thing I've always picked out about you, even when we first met at PAMRO in 2012, Josiah, is you are a people person. You know, when Josiah is in a room, you know he's in a room. And that's I'll tell you for free. You're extremely talented when it comes to what I call the client-facing function.
Thank you.
Even at the conferences we've attended, PAMRO last year, where you also gave a presentation with the Dharmendra. That is clearly a core competence, and I think I can imagine that wonderful compliment of you being able to speak to the potential clients and partners, and then Dharmendra is making sure that the delivery of the proposition is happening at a technical level as well. And clearly that compliment is there. I can see that very clearly.
And just to speak a bit about PAMRO, for those who are unaware, PAMRO is an acronym. It stands for Pan-African Media Research Organization.
Oh yes,
Moses was actually the winner of the best paper at PAMRO. So kudos to you as well. And it's not, PAMRO has been in existence for 25 years. I had the opportunity to become the vice president 2009 to 12. And then from 13 to 15, I was the president. It rotates across the region, so we don't have issues sharing power. I still sit on the board. We've done a lot at PAMRO. We've harmonized the questionnaire. But the thing about PAMRO is that it's now become family. And I think eventually, even when, whether it's our pigmentation or whether it's our language, we are one family. And it doesn't really matter because the world is now converging. And the sense of converging is being escalated by AI.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that actually is the perfect segue to understanding can I call it the actionable moment? Because of course you guys have history, you've done work in research for so many years. And more importantly, it really, I think, is important for us to sort of dig into understanding the origins of the business. And I think, Dharmendra, from a founding standpoint, maybe you can tell us what is it that Actnable brings to research within a Pan-African and global perspective? What does it solve for? And what was the inspiration behind setting up this business?
Yeah, I would like to just take you a little back. Most of the inspiration started way back when we were in Nigeria, because Nigeria is a place where you also see a lot of challenges, restrictions, and difficulties to do what you want to do. And whenever you face the challenge, the other name for challenge is opportunity, isn't it? You are forced to think. And one of the things which we did over there, I remember when we were getting into the larger projects and we didn't have any tool over there.
Yes.
So I came up with, and it was very recently I got promoted to a role of operation director. So the data collection and research was also part of my portfolio. Originally, I'm coming from data processing. So data collection is the fieldwork thing,
Yes.
It requires a lot of dealing with interviewers, supervisor, devices, and all that. So I was, being a technical person, I was thinking to solve that designing a system called field management system. And I got a guy who just passed out from the college and who wanted to do something. And we kind of said, that's a really good idea. Let's try something, develop something. We come up with something called field management system. And it was end-to-end operations management. I think that is where I started getting into tooling, solutioning, and solving problems through using, bringing tech. And that tech means obviously
to support that field work. Yeah.
That has really changed my way of looking at how we deal with challenges. As long as the technology brings you that kind of thing, you can really make a lot of difference if you understand the problem better and you understand the technology, and then you can make an impact. So all these three things become part of my thinking. And that continued in Kantar, even when I moved 2017 in Kenya, continued exploring. Then that time AI was even not this much popular.
Early days, yeah.
I remember doing an AI course in 2015.
What?
Yes. And then very first time, I think 2019, I presented a paper in Spain called Future-Proofing Data Quality Using AI, 2019 in Spain. Okay.
Wow.
That time in Kantar, I was trying the idea of bringing AI into data quality, management, and open-end solutions and everything. And that continued until 2022,
yes,
where I presented a paper in Canada, again, SMR, Congress, where I developed a bot which will allow you to talk with your data in a voice form. Remember those smart speaker like Alexa and Siri?
Yeah.
So I thought, why? Because I was like, being an operation person, I was tired of getting requests from CS. Can you run this table for me? Can you run this analysis for me? Then I said, can I come up with a bot which will allow researchers, once I deliver my data to them, they don't come to me.
They can do it for themselves.
Yeah.
So that was the thinking, and I made out a paper, and that paper got selected as well. So that is what accumulatively gave me the inspiration that here is something which I need to do. And late 2023, I started my own company, Actnable AI, with the one mission and vision very clear. How can I develop solutions for Africa, where it is not coming from outside, where you are just trying to plug and play, but half of the time they don't work because that is not built out of the looking at the local reality. So having spent 20 years here, it allows me to understand the challenges on ground and then think and design the solutions. So that is the very, I would say, the core of why Actnable came into an existence, that we want to solve problems which are about getting actionable insights from data. And that too in an African way of working, or you may also call it like market research native workflow. Yeah, that is our thing, because we are researchers first, then the techie. So we understand the research, we understand the challenge in the market, and now we are designing a solution.
Yeah. Let me jump in and say something. You see silent and listen. It's just let us change the other way around. So the way AI works is AI is very silent. It's not loud. It's in the background. We've learned to listen to consumers. I've done 26 years of research across 34 African markets. So which then means, for example, if you take Nigeria as a market, I've been to 21 of their 36 states. And the thing that one of our clients, who really used to, for them, it was a no-brainer once we get the renewals of the contracts and so on. But it was going a step further. And I think what AI is doing now is becoming the catalyst. Silent listen silent. So AI is here silently listening to you. But then we are silently listening to consumers. And I like to live what I tell clients. So, for example, this morning I came with Anganya. You know what Anganya is? It's a matatu that makes a lot of noise. But the way the Anganya was immediately, and I think it relates back to a conversation we were having with a client, name withheld, but they were trying to see what time they deploy service. And immediately they got into the Anganya. Everybody just got onto their phone. And it's making, that then is changing the whole spectrum of how you communicate with your consumer, you engage with them, they relate back to you, depending on how interesting. And I remember we were at a conference on brand and communication, and I told some of the creative guys, and I told them, at some point you'll have to think about a 5-second creative. They told me, are you out of your... I said, right now, if you look at reels, the most attractive reels they only take 5 to 10 seconds and they've gone.
Yeah.
And the attention span has changed. So, and I think there's a point that is really important that I need to reinforce on Dharmendra. So, Dharmendra, he's like a doctor. So you take to him a problem and you tell him, look, there's this whole issue with this data. It doesn't make sense. So the first thing, he wouldn't panic. Right? He would just be very composed, like agree, and we would find solutions to it. There are times when a leading FMCG had a lot of queries about the data. We had an issue with, I think, BBC. They came and found a household with 50 people. And they said that can't be true, or, this data is wrong. We said no. He developed something called forensics. So forensics was our way of checking that the interviewers...
Data quality.
Data quality. And the clients embraced it. They were like, yeah, this is part of the addition. Okay. All right.
Okay, great. So I want to talk a little bit about, the things that sort of went into building this from scratch, right? What are your three non-negotiable principles that shaped Neuro AI, Qual AI, and also your approach? Maybe you can sort of break that down one by one for us.
Yeah. So when we came with when I decided to start Actnable AI, one thing was very clearly we want to do something which is not existing in the market.
Yes.
Not because just purely for differentiation side, but also what previously was not available in the market, or not affordable also, or it was not a easy choice for marketers, decision makers, researchers. So we wanted to bring solutions which are, for example, Neuro AI. Neuro AI is basically a solution which allows you to analyze your facial expressions. Yeah. So typical example for when a creative team is launching a new commercial, they want to do pre-test this commercial, how this is going to be resonated with the audience. And you want to also understand whether emotionally it is connecting or not, right? And it is also connecting with the brand, product, and all that. So instead of asking question answer, you want to connect that emotionally. You want to analyze the emotion of the audience when they view the ad. So these platforms allow us just put your experiment in terms of whatever media or commercial you want to show, send a link, and they watch on their devices. When they're watching it, the algorithms read your face and expression and analytics, and that gives very neuroscience-based cues for marketers or creative directors whether it's going to be resonated, yes or no. So that is one of the things which we wanted to bring. Qualitative research is another side where if you look at qualitative research, is a very operations oriented. Like you have to recruit participants, then you go and hire a venue where you conduct focus group, then you record, and then you transcribe, then you analyze. So it becomes like a 2 weeks job. But today's time, our clients don't have 2 weeks time for insight, right? They have to really move fast.
Yes.
So how we can bring something which will help a researcher to do the entire Qual thing almost like in a couple of days.
Yes.
So Actnable AI, Qual AI is a platform which is an end-to-end platform which allows researcher to not only just analyze the output, but it allows from recruitment, generating discussion guide, and do the focus group, online focus group, and ideas and process. And chatbot allows you to talk with your transcript. So let's say we have done 1 hour focus group, and you have 90 minutes recording of that audio recording, and that get transcribed by AI, and your document like 70 to 80 page transcripts ready. Now, if you're a researcher, you will spend 2-3 days reading and making notes. Now you don't have to do that. AI will help you to analyze the entire transcript, not only analysis as a standard, but it will also allow you to interact with your transcript as a bot.
Wow.
So we developed that end to end. So basically, Actnable core focus is to bring something which was not possible before, and how this can be easily available, and also the way things work in this our kind of environment. The process is still same. Yeah.
So you're compressing time, you're compressing process, and you're elevating quality.
Yeah. So researcher gets more time to spend with data and to generate actionable insights. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, it actually reminds me of the Navy SEALs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you remove the word Navy, for us at Actnable, it's about speed, it's about efficiency, it's about agility, it's about leverage. And I recall, because when I started my research journey, I used to transcribe. To take me a whole night, transcribe a cassette. You remember?
Manually.
Yes. So you'd stop, you'd listen with a Walkman, Right now, in a matter of 3 hours, we were able to transcribe 5 focus groups.
In the entirety?
Yeah.
In 3 hours.
I can give you one case study. Then when very first year of our Actnable, been reached by one of our industry colleague who is also into market research from other country in Africa, and said, you know what, can you do French? Can you do Lingala? Apart from the English? I said, we can. Let me try that. And I remember it was a Friday. And he reached out to me in the morning. He said, you know what, unfortunately, my findings are due to the client on Monday morning.
Wow.
And I can't think of anything coming to you. You are talking about AI. Can you really help this? And I took that chance, and you won't believe, by evening, I turned around all 11 FGDs with proper transcripts and analysis. And he delivered very well on Monday morning. So that was a defining moment in terms of how this can change the way we look at our, insight generation.
And if you also think about the nature of business today, time is a very critical variable. Risk is another one, right? So risk in the sense that you don't want to, shooting an ad is very expensive, having worked in advertising. And now you've seen even AI ads and so on. But what we've noticed is that first, the business saves a lot in terms of understanding where the risk factor is, and they're able to address it. But even more importantly is it reduces the amount of time they need to make a decision. So as opposed to, I think one of the clients at ESOMA mentioned that she doesn't want to wait for 30 days to get a report. And what we are about is accelerating and enabling businesses to make certain decisions, very critical decisions. And if you think about, you don't need a long questionnaire. You just need something short and sweet.
Yeah, I would like to add one more thing. I think the one thing you asked about the core of Actnable.
Yes.
I missed that mentioning before. If you look at classic way of looking at data, it was more about text or numbers, qualitative or quantitative. We call it structured data. But today's consumer is leaving data imprints in all sort of shape and form, like social media, where you have videos like a form of data, image, location, text, and all that. So unstructured data has become more than the structured data. Your ability to generate holistic insight is where will make a lot of difference as a researcher, as a marketer, or somebody who is into the business of retail understanding. So there are less number of people, or rather, I don't know if anyone else. So Actnable thought how we can bring 360 insight, holistic insight, whereby it doesn't matter what data format you have. So today we have our platform where we have new kids on the block. We call it DIA, which is DIA, Deep Insight Agent. Now, what it allows you, doesn't matter what format of data you want to upload on the platform, and it will connect the dots across the files and give you concise insight out of it.
Wow.
And that is one of the biggest thing I think researchers always wanted, because they spend a lot of time looking at different type of Excel files.
They're trying to make sense of it.
Yeah, and they spend a lot of time logistics rather than generating insights.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about, I think in last year at Pamro 2025, you showed a creative test across 3 African cities showing identical ads triggering completely different emotional responses. Yeah. And I want to understand from your perspective how Neuro AI surfaces those city-specific truths for campaign optimization.
Okay. So first, I think we played music, because music is universal, whether it's in Dar es Salaam, whether it's in Lagos, whether it's in Kinshasa. It's just the flavor and the rhythm that changes across Africa. The same applies to how people react to an ad. The consumers in Dar es Salaam were very techy. They were very technical. They knew what needs to be. And those were actually personas we had developed off AI. The consumers in Kinshasa were very consumer-based, were community-based. It's about the community. It's about cohesion. Lagos was different. Lagos, as Wizkid sings and says, Oju Elegba, it's about hustling. It's about entrepreneurial. It's about aspiration.
That resonates with the Nigerian consumer.
And that's why you had something like, I think they had the biggest, it's called The Wedding. They had a movie called The Wedding. if you look at the investment that Netflix has made into Nigeria and South Africa in terms of movies and the quality of movies and how much that is transforming. But back to the ad itself and what Neuro AI did. What Neuro AI was able to do is to look at, so this is the Nigerian consumer. Did it work? Neither here nor there. This was the consumer in Dar es Salaam, ticked most of the boxes. This was so as a client, if you're running a multinational campaign across Africa, within a span of 2 days across 3 countries, we were able to tell the client, hey, this is working, tweak here. And then behind all that, then we came up with personas. So what we are doing at Actnable is going beyond your foundational research to go deeper. And that's why Dharmendra is talking about DIA.
Yeah, it brings the best of both worlds, whereby you are also capturing the emotional connections without asking questions. Neuro AI helps that, because you cannot, body language cannot lie.
And you cannot fake it, yeah?
Yeah, you cannot fake it. And then you also have ability to ask few questions immediately in that moment, so that the gap between what you expressed and what you are saying is not say do go. Because in research, we also face that bias where people tends to be more positive when you ask questions than negative, right? So we ask few questions, and that revealed a lot about how they are pursuing the ad. What message? Because you can, as a creative director, you can make an ad keeping something in mind, like this is what my target audience, this is the communication I want to do, but not necessarily everyone is receiving in that way. Learning is personal.
The nuances,
yeah, everyone has their own take of what. So some people connected with music, some people connected with the model, some connected with technology, smart, and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's a very individual take. But if you are a marketer or creative director, you need to understand how audience in that place is taking your creative. So that study has revealed so much for the creative side, the marketing side. Like, for example, if you're going to Nigeria, then you must play the card of like business, entrepreneurship, hustling. If you're going to DRC, then it's about communities and belongingness. If you go to Tanzania, it's about techie, new people are talking about new things. So that changes the entire thing. So Neuro AI is really getting beyond demographics segmentation. It is bringing a segmentation of behavior, personality. That's where the difference is.
And just one last thing is that, your face has 32 muscles. So what Neuro AI does is to read those 32 muscles, and it will tell you whether you're happy, you're surprised, you're sad, you're neutral. But the most important thing about Neuro AI is that it drives emotional decisions that influence purchase for a client. It's very powerful.
And what it means for me when I understand what it does, it's almost like you're moving from guessing to knowing, especially for the creative process, because let's be honest, marketing and advertising for years was always about the smartest or most creative guy in the room who may have it completely wrong. And we've seen campaigns that have been complete failures where you fail to read the room.
Yes.
Now AI is reading the room.
Yes. It is helping you to really see what you could not see through the eyes, one way. And that the emotions are, as you rightly said, you can't fake it. And that's the truth of moment. And you can only get it when you go all over, place and show it the way it is. And then you, without asking question, you get the response.
So I want to talk a little bit more about. We've already talked about sample case studies of things that you've achieved in the situation that we're in, but when we start to look forward, what is the implications of what Actnable is doing AI, what you're offering, and what this sort of approach to research? What are the transformations you see going forward?
Yeah, if you look at the research as a landscape in Africa, still very, very traditional. 60 to 70% is still face-to-face data collection methodologies.
Yeah.
Face-to-face means when somebody will walk up to you and ask a few questions, write or record on the tablet. But if you look at global phenomena of research, around 80% research is happening online. Okay, so we need to do a lot of work to really become faster. This is one thing. Secondly, another industry fact is that, I don't know the number, but significant portion is still data collection part is happening. We call it field and tap. Yes. So African agency is actually doing the data collection only. the analysis and insight generation happening somewhere else.
Wow.
So we are really not there. And I think the Actnable is one single focus area, how we can enable that decision making locally here by doing things which are faster, better, and cheaper. Yeah. So we bring the tech to not only to collect the data and not only to analyze the data, but also bring innovation here locally. So research becomes a way of life for business decision making, which is currently very tiny percent. If you look at the global percentage of research, around 5% of the entire industry, whereby USA is a 50% market share of the research.
Wow.
So we have a long way to go where a business will take decision based on data. The data-driven decision making is still in the room of discussions or conferences, not good there. So Actnable mission is to make that really accessible for businesses, not even big business, but small and medium, so they can use their data for decision making and business growth.
Yeah, and I think I can sum that up with what Alvin Toffler talks about when he's talking about learning, unlearning,
relearning,
and relearn.
Yeah.
And we have an opportunity in Africa because we have a huge population. It's very young. It's very smart. Secondly, is a lot of clients are also willing to co-create. So recently, we've done something it's never been done before in Africa, where we had a product test and we could see the reaction to the consumers, facial reaction on a 1-minute video using Neuro AI. But the beauty about it is that we gave the clients feedback in real time. So as the interviews went along, they could actually see what direction it's going. And then this was further reconfirmed by other separate events that were done that reinforced our findings. So that's the future. It's about AI.
Yeah, and absolutely. Again, I want to bring another point why we are talking so excited about it. If you look at Africa, it's full of diversity, right? In terms of languages, culture, nuances. I think the future is more about context, not AI. AI has become very default go-to thing. Everybody will use it. Your differentiation will come how well you understand the place, the people, the product, and how that. And that will only come when you have a greater context. So the future is about context. And if we develop solutions here, if we are coming out from the issues we are facing here, the context will, by default, will be there. So I think that's where we want to bring this AI kind of set of solutions for Africa.
Okay.
Developed in Africa.
Yeah. So I think we'll just need to wrap it up here because I know that this is just the first of a series of conversations we're going to have. And I think what I'd like to do is maybe you can provide us some information that we can give our audience so they can figure out how they can find out about Actnable, how they can reach you online, how can they learn more about what you offer, because especially when I think about the various propositions you have, these are things that people really need to know about.
Yeah, so we have got our website, www.actnable.ai, and we have our LinkedIn page. You can search for it. We have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter page. And we have our office over here. We can share the contact details for that one.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to our next conversation in the series. I think we're going to take a deeper dive into some of those themes that we discussed, Josiah. So.
Absolutely. And the time is now.
Excellent.
We've had a World Cup in Africa. And I'm just thinking about, in a context, when you think about Wakanda, the movie, I know time has run out, but that was a very futuristic view of Africa.
Yes.
And that is where AI is taking Africa.
Absolutely.
Yeah, into that Wakanda space.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the future belongs when we solve the local problems.
Yes.
And by local people. So we are collaborating, and the whole idea is not about just pushing one or two tools, but how we can collaborate to design new things together.
Absolutely.
Which can have impact.
So Dharmendra, Josiah, thank you so much. I wish we had more time, but we can wrap it up there for today. And thank you so much for sharing so openly about Actnable and the things you're doing on the ground.
Thank you very much.
We are absolutely thankful to you as well.
And looking forward and can't wait for our next session.
Absolutely.
Our next Wakanda session.
So you've heard it from Dharmendra and Josiah, who've joined us today from Actnable AI for our conversation here on Pure Digital Passion. I think the insights that they've shared are really profound, really showing how they're grounding African insights in research with AI, doing things that are completely different and new, solving for the African continent. We're really happy to have you in this conversation. And of course, we'll catch you in the next one with me, Moses Kemibaro, on the Pure Digital Passion podcast. Thank you so much.